Thank you for sitting through that. It's me and my incredible IT skills. Who would have thought 2 years later, I still can't get it right. So welcome. Thank you for sitting through that video. There's so much that can be spoken about when it comes to aging. And I thought that the video could introduce a lot of the themes and we could have a think about what we wanted to talk about today. Thank you, Sarah Ann. So some of the themes that I heard were living in fear, death, invisibility, staying relevant, productive, how society treats people, what it's like to age in organizations and corporates, self-love, which I thought was a beautiful way of working with things. And then something a little bit separate that kind of just came to me and really speaks of my own sort of battles is how to be with our parents as they grow older and die. Especially if we're still stuck with a whole lot of resentments from our childhood. How do we find the grace? So, what are you in the mood for talking about today? Karen?
Yeah, hi. Something that stood out for me, Julia, was the one of the first things that Lydia said was around becoming invisible.
Yeah.
That as a culture, we don't value older people, wisdom.
Yeah. Thank you. Maybe what I should do is just collect a couple of themes and then we can decide where to go. Sorry, Sarah Ann, were you saying something?
Just to follow on from that, a word that I've come across certainly from my mother who's about to be 80 and another granny who's going to be 83 is the word relevance. It's such a word that they keep talking about. And I think they need to be relevant at 80.
Yeah. So this is about us becoming 80 and about supporting our clients to become 80 and work and being with our family as they become 80.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Also, what Karen mentioned when she was speaking about the invisibility, that was where I came in. And what struck me there, because when I heard this aging, I thought like, okay, like 52, where am I in this aging thing? And what she was speaking about right at that moment when I came in was how she, for a long time, tried to sort of keep up a pretense of not being so very old, and then just got fed up with it and shifted. I like that. I think maybe part of our work is also to, in a way, to help ourselves and help people to get there more quickly.
To accept our aging.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Thank you. Nicola. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it links to what Sarah was saying around also the relevance, but I mean, she used the phrase of the big horizon, and it's a funny thing how sometimes people stick their heads up and just see more and more, and other people, their world just starts to shrink and shrink and shrink. And it connects so much to how relevant you are.
Yeah.
And why.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm like a really practical sort of Enneagram 8 person, but to sort of link that in with the idea of being useful.
And also, Julia, I don't know if it's true, but it's my observation that the more that your world shrinks, the more fear there is. Just with the people that I know who've become so anxious recently, and partly circumstantial, but the more the world shrinks, the more little things trigger significant amounts of fear.
Yeah, and an attempt to control the uncertainty by making the world smaller and smaller. But in fact, paradoxically, creating more anxiety. Yeah. And less capacity to deal with the flow and uncertainty, as you know, and this sort of belief that you can control your environment to that point. Were there any other themes that kind of came up, Lee?
Yeah, and I think as a bit of a paradox to that is the acceptance and being okay with impermanence.
The void. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I suppose it's how you define the void, Julia. And I think it's different for people. But I think I'm perhaps talking about impermanence more from a Buddhist perspective, you know, that nothing is permanent. So we can't hold on to anything. And I had to smile when she was talking about dementia and Alzheimer's, because I even heard a little bit of her projection around what she would expect from someone with dementia. How about us understanding what the person is maybe dealing with who has dementia? Maybe they're really, really happy not knowing. But I think there's a lot of projection that goes on in families as well, with where elderly people and people with dementia just find themselves.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Not knowing is sometimes a source of great happiness. Love that. And
Julia,
Nazima?
just something that's, sorry, it's Pete here. Just something that's sort of emerged as we've been talking here is, for me, the concept of the resisting aging is living in the past, and the fear of death is living in the future, and forgetting about the now.
Wow. Nice. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's that stuckness, stuck in another way of being.
Well, stuck everywhere but here.
Yeah. And much less relevant or useful because you're not here. Yeah.
I have to wonder about that. It seems to me it's exactly the now that's shrinking and becoming less palatable to inhabit. If your body is falling apart and it's essentially a bunch of chronic pain kept together with medicine, and your mind is gradually going, then I expect the now becomes increasingly, well, hostile and uncomfortable.
What a really interesting insight. I love the idea of the now becoming hostile. Really fascinating. So we've got a number of themes. Would you like to go off into groups and dig through these themes a little more deeply? Or do you want to stay in a big group? What are you in the mood for? Pairs? I'm interested that no one sort of brought up coaching around this, but you know, it's all the same thing anyway. Alistair, you've got your little blue hand up. Thank you.
Is it blue? Looks like
it's white or blue.
Okay. What came up for me, what really struck me there was when she just spoke about death briefly. And I just remembered that last week I was on another Zoom call, and there was a guy who was talking about a man called Stephen Levine, who wrote a book, A Year to Live. Is that something you've explored before, Julia? Because I hear that death is like your field of interest.
It's a field of interest. I haven't read that book. I'm having trouble with reading at the moment, but Karen has read it. She's giving the wave. So
and Nazima. So it's a set workbook. Nazima just held it up now. It's a set workbook for PCC. It's a very worthwhile read. It's a very worthwhile read.
Right, nice. Thank you for that reference.
Yeah, because the guy who was talking about the book on that conference, he was saying he got a disease. I mean, he works in the finance world, and then he got this disease, and then he now had the new awakening because his days were kind of numbered. Well, he's just living life like he's probably in his 60s, but he's living life to the fullest, you know. So that's something I think is useful as you grow older. But now with COVID, you know, you could be on your last 10 days, you know, and you not living life to the fullest. That's just something that came up for me.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. And why does it take, I mean, that's that Yalom thing, that when we have death on our shoulders, we'll live life more fully. But it's just so curious that we need death. And, you know, it's the reason why some of the ancient philosophers used to have those skulls on their desks, because it reminded them that death was waiting and it would come, and we best not forget, because we do somehow. So let's just think about some structure here. Would you like to go off into groups and chat more fully? Can I throw another theme in? Because we're all coaches, and it's something that comes up in my psychotherapy and coaching sessions, is how do you work with somebody who is experiencing aging in a new way, and who is struggling to make sense of their life, either in corporates, you know, what's their role going to be, how they're going to be. That's sort of one thing. And the other thing, which is like an incredible gift when you get a client like that, if you get a client in at like age 92, you've got 92 years to work with. What an absolute joy. You know, if you're looking for patterns and interesting things and sense making, you've got 92, 90, whatever years. So how would you work with clients in corporate or who are not in corporate? I mean, if the theme doesn't grab you, don't take it. Can I, how do you want to do this? Do you want to organize your own theme and just go ahead and I'll put you in groups of 3? You cool with that? Okay. So now Kate's had to pop out, and there's one group of 2. But are you happy to go off for, what would you like, 15 or 20 minutes? Okay. Thank you. It's over. Now, Sisanda, off you go.
Okay. I think Watson is talking about, I normally experience it a lot. And one thing that I've learned to do in some situations, because there are situations where you can assist, but I think there are points where something is just, someone is just sharing something that is heavy for you, that is just weighing you down. And I've learned to be like, listen, I am not the right person for this one. And I don't have capacity. Because if you keep taking and taking and taking, you will find yourself that you are just weighed down without you knowing what is happening with you. I think as much as it's always good to assist other people, but you need to also set boundaries for yourself to know what you have capacity for. You can refer them if they don't want to go to the relevant person, but they must not, for this particular thing, you can't keep coming back to me with it because I don't have capacity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's certain games around that. And I just wanted to throw this in. I find this useful. When you hear people complaining, there's 3 reasons why people complain. People complain for social lubrication. So it's like, how are you? I'm fine, but it would be much better if the weather was great. So no one wants to do anything about the weather. It's like just to kind of connect in some way. The second reason why people complain is to vent. You still mustn't do anything. You must just leave them and leave them alone to just, let off steam. It's only in the last example when people complain that you are required to do something. And so it's quite helpful when you see people complain or bring a problem in to try and figure out what they're wanting. Is it social lubrication, a way to connect with you? Is it venting, or should you do something? So that's the one thing I wanted to say. And I also wanted to respond to Sisanda in another way, and that is that when one of the games that people play is something called Yes, But. And it's a great game. I've seen it played a lot at CDC. And how it goes is somebody complains, and then you invent an answer, and then they say, yes, but, da, 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 da. And so then you work very hard and you make another answer, and they say, yes, but. And so all the time you are feeling less and less capable in the conversation, because all of the things you've offered, they've said, yes, but, yes, but, yes, but. So if you see that thing coming, if you see a yes, but person coming, do not give them advice, because that's their game and it makes them feel better than you. Don't enter that game.
I think Abdulhaz's hand is up.
Tanukazi, yeah.
Okay. Thanks, colleagues. I think it's similar to what Usitanda was talking about. When someone comes in and confides in you, I recently had that, and well, I think for me, yes, I listened. I think I listened because I was driving. But now that I'm thinking, and I didn't respond, I was like, oh, okay. And the person kept on continuing, explaining and telling me the story. And I didn't do anything, whether to advise or to what, but I just listened. But now that I, in my space, and I'm thinking about what the person said, and I'm trying now to put myself in their shoes, and I feel it's tough for me to be in that space. So I don't know how to react. Obviously, that person will come and share that traumatic experience with you. And how do I say, this one is for me, this one is really not, should I not take it in? That kind of thing. Where do I draw the line in? Yeah. Thanks.
I wish there was an easy answer. It's a complicated question you ask.
Yeah, but I think Julia,
but I think surely.
Go for it, Zola.
Yeah, sorry. I think it's a difficult one, because surely when the person decides to approach you, maybe for whatever he or she is going through, surely I don't think that person is looking for answers more. It might differ because situation differ in a way. That person may not be necessarily looking for answers to the problem that he has or she has, But as Nokzola was saying earlier, perhaps that person might be in a space where he or she needs someone just to listen at the time, and then just listening and without any perhaps giving a direction to that person, you might find that that person is well satisfied by only you giving that person an ear in the process. I think, as Julia was saying earlier, because I think situations differ in most instances. You may not necessarily have the answers to anything that comes to your table. However, facilitating an approach that gives ease to that person would be a much more better situation. I know that we've got different characteristics, but for me, I think only it won't hurt you as a human being just to give an ear for 5 to 10 minutes, or even in your busy schedule, just for a 15 minutes chat with a person whom you see that is going through the worst in the time. So people approaches you because you have been with this person for a number of, for a certain period. He or she has observed you and then have developed some sort of a trust that this is a person that I can talk to. So there is a reason that person why he or she approaches you. And when you perhaps decide not to listen to that person, I think it's a slap in the face, which might define the relationship that you guys have going forward. So in a way, I think most possibly just to have empathy in a way, just simple approach of putting yourself in that person's shoes. You might not have gone through the situation that the person have gone through, but you have listened to a similar situation that this person is sharing with you. Surely you might derive some answers or facilitate a better approach to that person. So that's why I think that's how I take it when the person shares an experience with me. Yeah.
Thank you, Zola. Thank you for that. And I think you're right. Empathy goes a long way. You see, now I'm doing the bad thing. The one thing to also keep in mind, and that comes in these situations where someone comes to you, but also as you guys go into your own peer mentoring relationships, that to remember that you are also responsible for your state of being. And it's important that you are aware what state you are in, you know. So there's what the person is bringing to you, but there's also the state in which you find yourself in that moment. And to be honest with yourself, are you worn down? Because when we're worn down, then we'll struggle to be empathetic. Are you emotionally exhausted right now? Because then it can feel like, yo, here's another person bringing their problems on top of my own unprocessed problems. Or are you in a healthy state where you're in touch with yourself and you know where you are and you're feeling quite good? So that's also a very important thing, and it's a responsibility we each carry in all our relationships, our friendships, our marriages, our relationships with our children, is that responsibility of what state am I in and to be aware of it. We move so fast that a lot of the time we actually don't know what state we're in. It's like what Susanda was saying, when someone stops you to ask you, how do you feel? It's like, that's a brand new question. The first time you thought about that today. So be conscious of that. And don't be afraid to bring that into the relationship, you know, or when someone speaks to you, maybe now's not the great time. Maybe let's chat on Monday because you're pretty worn down yourself. But that's your responsibility to really know your state, be plugged into what your state is and understand that it's affecting how you're taking in the information from the other person. And so you can separate the two. Know what's yours, know what belongs to someone else. Okay. Julia, any last comments from you before I move us into our...
No, I think that's very poignant because it's really good what you said, because I know that when I'm down, I am very sensitive to criticism, and they might not be criticizing me, but I might read it into what they're saying, and then I won't be useful to them. You know, if I'm tired or had too much to drink. Sorry.
Yeah. True. And as the 5 journey for me, if you bring your emotions and I'm not in a good state, I pull away, you know. I'm further overwhelmed by what you're bringing on top of my own. So it's very important. Know where your shoes are, know how your shoes are fitting you right now, and it will help you be able to separate what belongs to me in this conversation, what belongs to the other person. So you don't take people's stuff home.
It does take years though.
It does. It takes practice, and it's only learnable in relationships. This is the one big trick God, the universe, however you understand it, played on us. Or you can never practice it home alone by yourself. Unfortunately, it is only ever learned and practiced in relationships.
Yeah.
So we're going to move you guys into your peer relationships.
Do you want me to put people together?
Yes, please. If you can do that in the meantime.
We're going to go to pairs, and there are 18 people. I sign automatically. I just want to check something.
Cool. So while you just do that, what we want you guys to reflect on, so we'll give you time to share roles. So first, one person will be the mentee, the other person will be the mentor, and then we'll ask you to swap around. So as the mentee, what you're going to be sharing, reflecting on is what learning do you want to implement between now and the next module. So earlier we heard some stories from people, kind of what's been coming up since we last met. So really reflect on yourself. What's the learning that you want to implement between now and the next module? And as the mentor, this is an opportunity for you to practice what we've been talking about. So kind of thinking about what's your state, being aware if you're okay also in the conversation, and practicing the bystanding, you know, which is all about reflecting on them, what they're giving, as opposed to making a move, opposing, or complying. All right, from there.
Confusing time, because it says there's 19 people here. So, okay, so are all the black screens covering people who are live and operational behind them? Because, she's alive. So Lisa's alive. Fuyo, are you alive in there? No. So then the Fuyo, you see, it's just in terms of organizing people.
Noreen, Sindile, Ayanda, Vuyo. Are you guys there? Give us a thumbs up if you have your duke on.
Yes.
All right.
We are alive.
Sindile's alive. Great. Vuyo, are you there? Noreen, are you there? Great. Noreen's there.
So now I'm gonna okay, so now I'm gonna put the 3 people in the group of Vuyo. Okay. And then we're fine. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
No, and just to make sure you don't assign me and you. Cool.
What is the question?
So the question is, what learning? What, and just write it down somewhere quickly. What learning do I want to implement between now and the next module? So what learning do I want to implement before the next module? Kind of, if anything came up for you today in this session, if you didn't have a chance to share in the group, just what's been coming up for you? What do you want to implement?
Okay.
As you learn about yourselves, as you learn about your relationships, as you learn about your families, as you learn about intergenerational trends, you learn about work, what are the learnings that you want to implement between now and the next module? And as the mentor, remember you're practicing bystanding. You're practicing bystanding, you're practicing reflecting. You don't want to solve for them. You don't want to oppose them. You don't want to just comply. You just want to help them reflect. And in that, be aware of your position. Be aware of, am I okay in this? How's my emotional state? How's my mental state? How's my spiritual state? So you can know what's yours, what's the other person's. So we're going to give you guys 10 minutes, Julia.
Yeah. And I'll let you 1 minute before I close.
Yeah, so we'll send you a message when you must swap, and then we'll send you a message when it's 1 minute to go.
Yeah, cool. So
Vuyo's just quickly apologized. She's been called into the office by her boss.
That's fine. We're recording for you, so all good. I've organized people for you, could land up in a group, but yeah. So are you ready to rock and roll?
Siseko, actually, we just saw your message. Just reflect on what you've learned on yourself through the Enneagram. That's the key of this conversation. We'll still connect to take you through the course, the module, but just reflect on yourself. What do you want to implement in your own life?
Okay.
Happy?
Cool. I'm sending you off. Bye.
All right, guys, cool. So we hope you got a taste for it in that session. We just want to ask, before we meet end of October, please connect one more time with your fellow peer. Connect one more time now. You've got a little taste for how to manage it, and give it a try. Go for it, and we can all debrief in our session. So in our last 3 minutes to check us out, we want you guys to each give us just one word of what are you taking out of this session with you. So it could be something that came out of your connect now, or something that came out earlier. One word or one sentence, maximum one sentence. I'm serious.
Maximum.
10 seconds each. Who wants to pick
first?
Thank you.
My challenge is, what am I going to do about it?
What are you going to do about it? Thank you, Ayanda. Cool. Zoliswa, I'm just going to start calling out.
It's loosening up.
No, Mfundisi, can I go ahead? Can you hear me?
Yes, go for it.
Oh, okay. For me, it's the power of sharing the experiences. I did say to Zola, it's really making things easy for everyone, including myself. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Zola, you can go up next.
Oh, for me, listen more. Yeah, that's what I heard.
Listen more. Beautiful, beautiful. Noreen.
I just have 2 words that I'm taking away. It's reflection and introspection.
Reflection, introspection. Thank you. Thank you. Sindile.
Hello. All right. I think for me, for this session, it's understanding and listening.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. Ndobozuka.
I don't know why my video is failing to work. What I took out of today's session, and probably my other session, is to be in touch more with your feelings.
To be in touch, to get to that place. Nice one. Nokzola.
To listen more and less confrontational.
Thank you. Thank you. Akash.
Hello. I'm taking out definitely more listening and sharing my emotions.
Sharing emotions, bringing them in the picture. Thank you. Sisanda?
How am I feeling about the situation? Try to ask myself that question very often.
Come drop back into the feeling. Thank you. Simpiwe.
I think one of the things is issue of listening. It's the key, and secondly, it's issue of trying to listen up, and not to respond. For instance, as what we discussed, issue of when one is coming, sharing to issue and always trying to give answers, but just to have, just listening, not to always have answers to say, this is an advice and whatever, but, and also one other thing is to push back. I think it's one of the things that came up to say, don't allow everything, try to push back.
Okay, so listen, push back, and loosen up. Interesting combo. Cool. Kremlin.
Change is inevitable.
Hey, that is indeed true. COVID taught us anything. Thank you. Tandogazi.
I guess for me, even though I joined, I missed some of the information that was shared. But I guess for me is to understand myself so that when I interact with other people, interact them in a more awareness space than, yes.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Siseko.
Yeah, working out on comfort area and as well as learning.
Okay, so getting out of your comfort zone and learning. Nice, thank you.
Yeah. And dealing with invisibility, that's the last one.
Dealing with invisibility.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Thank you. Nombulela?
Mine is acceptance and being aware that growth takes time.
Yep.
This just came out from the conversation on the private room.
Nice.
It's something that I'm really taking out of this session.
Nice, thank you. And good thing you have a lifetime to do it, you know?
Well, to me, being okay with not knowing. Yeah, being okay with not knowing.
Thank you. Nice. And then Vuyo, I know you were traveling back into the office during the pairing session, so we'll pair you up with your person. We'll pop you guys an email, okay?
And everyone else?
Cool. Has that been everyone? Did I miss anyone? Julia, what's your takeout?
It's just like how incredible it is to work with you guys and how your enjoyment at learning about yourself really sustains me. I love it.
Yeah, I echo Julia that damn, I think every time we connect with you guys, we're just wowed at how you peel your onions. So my takeout is keep peeling your onion, and I'll keep peeling mine. You really challenged me to do that. All right, thank you everybody. Don't forget to connect with your peer person. We'll pop everything up on MyQuest, so connect with us there, and we will see you end of October.
Cool.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
I wonder if I can try and just copy all the rooms notes.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Or do you want to quickly read them out to me?
No, the people have left.
Okay, what time tomorrow?
Fine. Chachambo?
Has it disappeared?
Yeah.
Oh.
As they left, it went. But we'll make a plan. Yeah. They know their case.
Yeah.
They're grown-ups. They can do it.
Cool. And we've got the other screen grab. So
yeah,
at least we know who was here.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Cool.
Okay. So you cool?
I'm good, Oz. Thank you so much.
We'll talk
yeah. Chat to you soon. Happy moving for tonight.
Yeah, thanks.
Right.
The aging video is coming. It was a nice session. Lovely people. You know when nuts come. It's beautiful.
What was the mix? What was the conversation?
A lot of cray-crays. And a lot of people came out of the wood, old people from all over the world. So that was quite nice.
Okay.
young, Fallon was there. She's like 30 something, but everyone else was 40, 50, 60, and there was a 70-year-old. So that was good.
Oh, okay. Okay. Shame Fallon has been quite sick. She's been down with COVID for like 3 weeks. So she's recently back in action. Shame.
Oh,
I'm going to see her
Very
soon.
fine. Yeah.
Cool.
Well done.
Thank you, dear. You too. Always fun.
Always fun. And 2 hours
Yeah.
is lovely.
It's
Cool.
tight.
So let's do this again. Yeah. Oh, it's been recorded. We'll have to get what's his name to